The Nerd Fighters!
Hello, Nerd Fighters! It's Monday, or Tuesday, or some day. I'm Sara, and you can find me over at Developmental Enthusiast on YouTube. So I had the opportunity to go to NerdCon Stories last week, which was awesome, and persistence was a main theme throughout the weekend, and something that I've personally been thinking about a lot recently. So when the opportunity came about to do a video for this channel about persistence, I jumped at the chance. Huge thanks to Pat and Dave and all of you other Nerdfighters out there for the opportunity to do this video. You guys are awesome. So almost every creator at NerdCon talked about the concept of persistence, though some of them didn't use the word. And according to the internet at least, the definition of persistence is a firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So this video comes to you in 4 parts about the different themes that came across surrounding persistence from the weekend at NerdCon Stories. 1. Creating. So one of the most common questions asked at NerdCon Stories was, I want to become a creator. How do I get started? And the answer to this question is, was, and ever shall be, do the thing. Start creating. You're probably going to be bad at first, but that's totally normal. So the NerdCon segment called Juvenalia underscored this point in fine fashion, because well-known authors Holly Black, Matt De La Pena, Dave Nadelberg, and Mara Wilson were asked to share some of their writing from when they were kids, and it was hilarious. Let's just say there was a poem about bagpipes that started off with the phrase, I like your bag, Mr. Pips. Yeah, it was terrible and also awesome. But creators across the board emphasize that being a creator is not easy at all, and it requires a ton of persistence, hard and continuous work, and a firm belief that what you're doing actually has value. And I would argue that persistence requires a confidence that what you're doing is important, but also an ability to accept and integrate criticism as it's appropriate. View counts and feedback don't define your worth as a creator, but you shouldn't ignore those metrics either, because they can help you get better. 2. The hustle. And no, I'm not talking about this hustle. This perhaps goes without saying, but persistence and hard work go hand in hand, and this was underscored constantly by the presenters at NerdCon Stories. So presenters used the phrase the hustle pretty consistently throughout the weekend, and they used it to refer to learning how to play the game of getting their creations out in front of the people who might actually care about them. The hustle requires a scrappy, gritty, get-her-done kind of persistence. They talked about how the hustle requires you to say yes a lot and put yourself out there in a way that's often really uncomfortable for creators. Creators also talked about how they had to get used to people being rude or saying they weren't interested or just plain ignoring them, and that it was really exhausting to go through that every day. 3. Opportunity. So persistence and opportunity also go hand in hand. And you have to have the ability to recognize a potential opportunity before it seems like a potential opportunity, which is kind of hard. And persistence involves building on what you've done before to move forward to another potential opportunity. But this is inherently risky. So on one panel at NerdCon, Hank Green talked about how he used to categorize his success in online video as luck or just being at the right place in the right time. But recently he's changed how he talks about his success, because all along the way he recognized opportunities that were available to him and took chances even when there was a high chance of failure. He also persistently sought out opportunities where none seemed to exist. He said yes a lot, he took a lot of risks, and none of it with any certainty of success. And this was a common thread across all of the creators. Saying yes and taking risks was essential to the success of these creators. It had very little to do with luck. It didn't just happen for them. There were opportunities that they took, doors that they pounded on, connections that they made, emails that they sent. They put in the hours and hours of work that it takes to claw your way up from relative obscurity. And it's this non-glamorous, everyday, persistent slog of putting themselves out there in many and various ways that got them to where they are today. 4. Success. Okay, so now you've reached some arbitrary definition of success, whatever that is. Now what do you do? Well, on one panel at NerdCon, Pat Rothfuss, Dessa Darling, John Green, Rainbow Rowell, and Taya Obrecht talked about the benefits and drawbacks to being successful. John and Dessa spoke openly about the personal sacrifices that they've had to make to get where they are today. And Rainbow and Pat grappled honestly with the question that was on all of our minds, which was, is the reward actually worth the sacrifice? So there was no clear answer given to this, but Pat Rothfuss said something that stuck with me. He was talking about how when you play Settlers of Catan, you have to pick your winning conditions. So you can either go for the longest road, or for the largest army, or some other strategy, but you simply can't do them all at the same time. They require different resources and strategies. He then talked about needing to define for himself what his life's winning conditions are, because it's impossible to do it all. And those winning conditions are different for different people and can change across time, and we need to stop judging each other for having different winning conditions. And I say all this not to be a super Debbie Downer or to say that success doesn't have its benefits. It clearly does, and all of these creators openly acknowledge the benefits of their success. I say this to remind you to check in with your own life's winning conditions. Are you pursuing them with persistence? Are you acting with a firm or obstinate continuance in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition? If you're not and you want to be, what changes in your game strategy can you make to more persistently pursue your life's winning conditions? Share your thoughts and comments. And if all of this is too overwhelming to think about, then start small with something that all of us nerdfighters can relate to and persistently DFTBA. Liz, I'll see you tomorrow.